Hello, and thank you for listening to this episode of the Moore's October Rants. Today, we're diving into something that I think a lot of us can relate to: wasting our time and energy on the wrong people. So let's just jump right into it. You know how sometimes we find ourselves putting all our time and energy into people who just aren't good for us? It's like we get consumed by these individuals who, quite frankly, aren't worth it. They don't add value to our lives, yet somehow we still let them take up so much space in our minds. And then what happens? We start to think everyone is like them. We have these negative experiences with a handful of people, and suddenly we assume that everyone is bad, that the universe is filled with jerks or users or whatever label we slap on them. But here's the kicker. This kind of thinking warps our reality. I've been guilty of it myself. It's something I'm actively working on changing because, well, that kind of mindset is not doing any of us any favors. Just because we've had bad encounters with a few people doesn't mean that the whole world is like that. I mean, think about it. If you have a rough time with, say, 4 or 5 people, does that mean every single person you'll meet in your lifetime is going to be the same? Of course not. But we tend to generalize, and that's where the problem starts. It's easy to sit there and say, oh, I had a bad experience with a few people, so I guess everyone is going to treat me this way. For example, let's say I had a bad experience with 5 or 6 Latinas. Does that mean every Latina on the planet is the same? No, that's ignorant. It's an emotional reaction to hurt, but it's not grounded in reality. We have to recognize that not everyone fits into these neat little boxes we create when we're upset. As I get older, I'm learning more and more that you're going to meet all kinds of people. Some will be amazing, others not so much. Some will be kind and uplifting, while others will be negative or toxic. But here's the key. Don't let the bad ones ruin your outlook on people as a whole. It's a slippery slope when you start lumping everyone together based on the actions of a few. And here's the part where we need to take some responsibility for our own choices. Sometimes we're the ones to blame for the situations we find ourselves in. We spend time with the wrong people, and then we act like it's all their fault when things go south. But in reality, no one forced us to be there. No one made us invest our energy into these relationships. Whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship, it takes 2 people to make it work or to make it fail. One person could always recognize the situation for what it is and walk away. If it's a toxic environment, you're not chained to it. You have the ability to leave. I think that's something we don't remind ourselves enough. You're in control. If you find yourself surrounded by people who are draining you, who are clearly not good for you, it's up to you to step away. It's not healthy to stay in toxic situations thinking, well, maybe things will change, or this is just how it is. No. Think about all the time you're wasting, all the energy that's slipping away while you stick around the wrong crowd. And that's time and energy you could be using to build relationships with the right people. People who actually have your best interest at heart. Here's another thing. I used to hang out at this Dunkin' Donuts, right? And let me tell you, that wasn't exactly the healthiest environment. I spent a good couple of years down there hanging out with people who honestly didn't give a damn about me. I mean, they'd talk to me when it was convenient, maybe share a few laughs here and there, but it was clear that I wasn't really part of the group. Yet I kept going back. For 2 or 3 years, I chose to spend my time in that environment, and at some point I had to ask myself, why am I still doing this? Why am I spending my energy on people who don't care whether I'm here or not? And that's when it hit me. I wasn't stuck. No one was forcing me to show up there every day. I was the one choosing to be in that environment, knowing full well it wasn't healthy. So who was to blame in that situation? Me. I willingly kept going back, even though it wasn't doing me any good. And that's the hard truth we sometimes have to face. We're not victims of our circumstances. A lot of the time, we're active participants in creating them. That's a big part of what I'm trying to say here. It's easy to blame others, to point fingers and say, oh, this person wasted my time, or that relationship drained me. But the fact is, you played a role in it too. You made the choice to stay in that friendship or that relationship. And if you want things to change, it starts with you taking responsibility for the situations you put yourself in. So yeah, That's my rant for today. We've got to stop wasting our time on the wrong people. And if you find yourself stuck in a cycle of toxic relationships or environments, recognize it, take responsibility, and walk away. Life's too short to keep giving your time and energy to people who don't deserve it. Thank you again for listening to this episode of the Morse October Rants. I appreciate you sticking around, and I hope this message resonates with some of you out there. Signing off for now, take care, and don't forget to choose wisely when it comes to the people in your life. Goodbye.